Welcome everybody, it's Todd Costello from RE/MAX Center Realty. It is April of 2024 and it's time for the monthly value message. We're going to jump right in. Two topics to cover this month, somewhat related eventually. We're going to do a quick sampling of a segment of the market just so my clients can understand some of the things we look at to develop the proper pricing, the proper unveiling price for a listing. And then we're going to touch on a little bit what we know so far about the pending changes to the National Association of Realtors policies, agent fees, compensation, stuff like that. So let's jump right in. For my clients who have been long-term clients, earlier in the week, you got your quarterly market update. You got that in the mail. So keep an eye out for that. Share that with family and friends. All right, so each month on my website, I share the overall demand rate. The Center County Association of Realtors Multiple Listing Service is a large organization. It covers a massive geographic area. So I always focus on, and the demand rate that I share is the four primary Center County school districts: State College, Bellefonte, Bald Eagle, and Penns Valley. So that's where this data came from, as reported by the Center County Association of Realtors MLS. So you have an overall demand rate for that larger, broader Center County market. But when I'm talking to sellers and I'm working with buyers, how much should we offer? Sellers, how much should we list for? Each property is its own product. So we have to break down the market data to that segment of the market. So here's just a taste. As of a few minutes ago, I just pulled this data. I did a sampling in the State College Area School District. All residential properties listed from $400,000 to $500,000. In the entire State College Area School District, all realtors, the number of active listings available to look at, to purchase right now is 14. And then the number in that same price point that are under contract, that are sale pending, is 20. That equates to a demand rate in this market segment of about 142%. Which means there's 1.42 buyers for every home in this segment. It's not an exact, hey, there's 1.5 buyers for my house. I could put any price on it, but it gives you a sense of what the demand is, and that helps in the pricing. I took another look. I changed the price point. I went up $100,000 from $500 to $600, and in that price point, there are 13 active, and there are 7 additional properties pending for a demand rate in this segment of 54%. So there's a lot more that goes into pricing a house properly. Beyond this, I'm also looking at the days on market of each of the pending listings and each of the active listings. I'm looking at how many of these properties may have come back on the market, which means they were previously under contract. That transaction didn't close, so they're going to come back on market. This is a category that I think is going to grow as these changes come into play. We'll talk about that in the future. We're looking at the overall condition of the properties, features, benefits, kitchens, baths, types of thing. We're looking at the location of the property, not just the neighborhood, but what the setting is. Does it back to I-99? Does it back to a dump? Does it back to a park? Does it back to state game lands? So location and setting matter. Is it a single family home or a condo? So we're taking a market segment and then we're breaking it down, and there's many other layers that I'll look at on your behalf. But this is just a sense of when you're looking at the overall market, how is it? You know, people are chit-chatting, oh, the market's good, there's multiple offers, but each house is its own product, and it has its own market segment, and it has its own data. So I do a deep dive for all my clients, sellers and buyers, to look at what is the true market data, what does all the data lead us to? So we make smart decisions and you and your family can benefit. So just a market segment sample. Okay, National Association of Realtors. Maybe you've seen the news in the last month or so. There are some pending changes to the policies that the National Association of Realtors recommend to their members, require of their members. It is all very early. We don't know if the changes are going to be approved. We don't know if the courts are going to allow it. So right now, nothing's changed. But this is a gist of some of the things that I think are in the changes that may be coming. And number one, the real estate industry for the last 100 or 150 years, the seller has paid the realtor a fee. So I'll charge a seller a 6% commission, and then I put that house on the market, and I share that commission with any buyer's agent that's representing a buyer. I will pay them. That I'm incentivizing them through the commission that the seller pays me. I'm incentivizing the buyer's agents to show the property and bring an acceptable offer. So it's an incentive. And the commission is paid by the seller to the seller's agent, and then the seller's agent shares it with the buyer's agent. That's how agents have been compensated for, again, I'm saying 100 years, it could be 150 years. So the industry has been set up that way for a very long time. What's happening in the courts and some lawsuits is, why is the seller paying and compensating the buyer's agent? So that's the oversimplified definition, I think, of what's going on. So ultimately, if all these changes come to pass, I think it's just going to be each party is going to pay their own agent. So if a seller wants to hire me and they don't want to compensate a buyer's agent, well, then their commission will be less because I won't have to pay the buyer's agent. And if a buyer's agent wants representation, they're going to negotiate directly with their realtor on the fee that that agent's going to charge. Again, none of this is written in stone yet. None of it's happened yet, but that's the major gist, I think, of what's coming down the pipe. So things you want to be aware of for now is, again, nothing's changed yet, but each party will pay their own service provider a negotiated amount. That's potentially one of the large changes. I want to put this whole thing in perspective. When we're talking about realtor fees, let's oversimplify it, and we're using examples. Commissions are negotiable. But let's say it breaks down to the seller pays their own agent, the buyer pays their own agent, and if the seller's going to now just pay 3% to their seller's agent, the buyer's agent's going to pay 3% to their buyer's agent, all right, each party's paying 3%. That's an oversimplified version of it. And then let's say everyone wants to negotiate tough, and it's like, I don't want to pay 3%, I only want to pay 2%. Just understand that that 1 or 2% negotiation and commission has got to be relative to the market that you're working in. So as an example, when we're worrying about that 1 or 2% and the big news that the realtor industry is going to change and it's going to be so much cheaper to sell a home or to buy a home, it really is going to come down to that 1 or 2% delta. And as an example, in a strong market where there's high demand, we all know someone who in 2022 made an offer on a $500,000 house, and there were 14 offers, and that house actually closed at $550,000 or $575,000. So that home sold for more than 10% over the list price, more than 10%. And then in a soft market where the demand is low, when I started in the mid-90s, the average days on market in the State College School District was over 136 days. And for properties on the market over 136 days in the mid-90s, the average home sold for 88% of the original list price, which is 12% below the original list price. So the market goes up and down. When you're trying to select a realtor and, hey, I want to save 1 or 2%, just understand that you don't want to just focus on the cost, you want to focus on the value that that agent and their experience brings to the transaction when market conditions can change the values north 10, 12% or south 10, 12%. So you have to keep in mind, if you're selecting a realtor, you want an agent that brings value. I'd even go as far as to say, if you don't think your agent is worth 1 or 2% more than any other agent, you may not have a clear understanding of the market you're entering. So just know that it matters. The agent that you choose matters. And if some of these changes come into play, the agent selection process is going to be much more important than it's ever been. And then finally, focus on the 98%. And what I mean by that is this. Wait for me here, follow me. All the changes that might be coming in the real estate industry, who's paying the realtor, what are the commissions, remember this. This is your home. This is 100% of your home's value. That's what it's worth, market value. ultimately, when it comes down to the realtor fees, this is the 1 or 2% that everyone's going to be focusing on. Oh, I didn't have to pay my realtor 3%. I only had to pay them 1%, or I had to pay them 2%. This 1 to 2%, don't forget about the 98%. This is where your equity lies. This is where the value lies. This is where making the right decision versus the wrong decision lies. So the 98% is where you want to focus. That's just a brief taste of what may be coming down the pike. We're going to talk a lot more about this over the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months. As the changes come, I will alert all my clients directly via US mail and these monthly videos. That is this month's message. Next month, I'm actually going to give a little bio on my history in the business and my history before the business, so my clients understand what level of experience I'm bringing to the transaction when I'm representing them. So that's next month. I appreciate your time. Share this with family and friends, and I'll catch you next month.